Hello. Yes, sir. Here, sir. Here.
All right. So I hope I'm audible to all of you. So we are live, right? So welcome back to this particular channel of Pradhan Academy. So today it's a very important session and we have to discuss about the top important questions that are very much important for your tomorrow's exam, right? So you all know that tomorrow is your exam, right? So this particular PT lecture is going to be very important regarding your tomorrow's exam. So today I will be discussing the most important questions and prediction that I feel that are very much crucial for tomorrow's exam. Okay, so if you have done complete revision and you are done with this entire preparation, so stay secured saying that you have done a better amount of work, right? So now it's time to perform well in tomorrow's exam. For that you just need to have some little bit touch on some of these important part. So I will be discussing that thing in brief in this particular session. Okay, so please give me a thumbs up if we are ready to start or not. Please let me know if this is clear. So today's lecture is going to be not that difficult or not that easy, but it's just related to the questions that are basically, I feel these are most important questions that can definitely come in tomorrow's exam. Okay, so stay tight for this lecture. So today we will basically discuss the top important questions, and I feel with this particular questions, if you have grasp upon that particular questions, you can definitely clear the exam tomorrow nicely, right? So let's start with today's session where we discuss about the important topics and questions for tomorrow's exam, right? So I know you must be very much tensed about exam, so nothing to worry, right? Just you need to be patient and calm and basically think that you have prepared a lot of things. You just have to perform whatever you have prepared, right? That is what you have to do for tomorrow's part, right? So today let's start with the first important question that I feel that these types of questions are very much important and crucial for tomorrow's exam. That is, I feel that vectors is a very important topic for tomorrow's paper. So not only vectors, but all chapters are equally going to be asked in the paper. But I feel that these types of problems where in vectors, where you have to calculate the angle between of two vectors, or where you have to basically predict on whether if the angles between two vectors are 90-degree or perpendicular, then what is the condition or what is the criteria. Also it may be also asked about the criteria on angle between two vectors being obtuse. But this particular concept of angle and projection of a vector is important. So let us recall quickly this particular concept, right? So let us start. So basically we will discuss a question, but for first and foremost thing, let us first discuss about the angle of vectors, okay, or angle between vectors. Okay, I would write that this angle between vectors, because this particular topic I feel it's very crucial and it will definitely be repeated again. Okay, so angle between two vectors. Okay, so whenever you need to find out angle between two vectors, first and foremost thing you need to keep in your mind is that the angle between the vectors are definitely formed by either joining their tails. Okay, so if I have two vectors, if I need to find out the angle between two vectors, I will just join their tails, or I will just join their heads. Okay, so if I just join their tails or join their heads, then the acute angle which the vectors makes is basically the angle between the vectors. Okay, the acute angle which this particular vector is making, the tail of the vector, or by joining the two heads of the vector. It is not like that we take one tail and one head, this particular angle is not the angle between vector. Okay, so that is very important to understand, right? So how do we make this case? You just extrapolate this, so you will be getting like vector like this, and therefore the angle between vectors will be given like this. Okay, so please make sure that you understand this particular part nicely. Okay, otherwise you are going to make mistake in tomorrow's exam. So if you understand this particular part, then the next thing that you need to also remember is that the dot product, right? So whenever we perform dot product, that is a vector dot b vector, we basically get the information about the angle as, first of all, a dot b is basically given as mod of a into mod of b into cosine of theta, right? So cosine of theta. So that's how we basically calculate the dot product between a vector and b vector, right? So from here, if I know the information about a vector and b vector, therefore I can easily find the information about the magnitude of a vector and magnitude of b vector. So from this particular part, I can simply calculate the cosine of theta as a dot b divided by mod of a by mod of b, right? So if I just simply need to perform this particular operation, then I'm basically ready to go with it, right? So I just need to perform the cos theta is equals to the dot product of vector divided by the magnitude of this particular respective vector, right? Now there are two sets of questions that can be asked from here. Is that the first thing that can be asked is basically, what if the angle is acute angle? What if the theta is an acute angle? So therefore, for acute angle, cos of theta should be greater than 0. That means a dot b vector should be greater than 0, because you know there is modulus, or the magnitude of vector cannot be 0 or cannot be negative. It is always positive, right? So therefore, for acute angle, you will basically get this a dot b as negative, is positive, right? And for obtuse angle, the cos of theta should be negative. Therefore, you will get a dot b vector as negative, right? So this is something that you need to remember for your part of preparation, where you basically have to decide upon the angle between the vectors. Okay, I hope this particular part is clear enough, right? Please let me know in the comment section, is this clear or not, right? I hope you're basically understanding this particular problem. So please make sure that these kinds of problems are very much important, and they are definitely going to be asked tomorrow. Okay, so I can guarantee at least there will be questions of angle between vectors, or the vector will be given, the angle you need to find it out, or maybe the angle is given, and based on that you may be asked to find out the projection. Okay, so now the concept of projection is basically as simple as that. For example, if I need to take the projection of b vector onto this a vector, I'll simply drop this b vector onto this a vector, and I will see that the projection of b vector onto a vector is simply given as by this particular magnitude of the length, right? So that is simply, so if you just apply the right, so it is a right angle triangle. So if I just apply this is basically the magnitude of this length is b vector, mod of b vector. So this particular magnitude of length is simply going to be mod of b cos of theta, as simple as that, right? So therefore, in order to find out this mod of b cos of theta, I'll just calculate it from here. So therefore, if I just find out mod of b cos of theta, it is basically given as a dot b vector divided by modulus of a vector. So that is what is called the projection. Okay, now projection of b vector on a vector, right? So if I need to project a vector onto another vector, the simple concept is basically take a dot product and divide by the magnitude of the vector on which you are taking the projection. In this case, we are taking the projection on a vector, so I was dividing by the magnitude of a vector. So if you are doing the projection of a vector onto b vector, you have to divide it by the magnitude of b vector. That's what the difference is. I hope this is very clear and straightforward, right? Please let me know if this is clear and straightforward or not. This is very simple, right? This part is clear to all of you, right? So if this is clear, we can proceed further, right? So this is very simple, right? So so these types of questions are definitely can be asked tomorrow's paper. Okay, so the projection problem is an important problem, and the problem of angle between the vector is an important problem. Also, if it is an acute angle or an obtuse angle, that's also an important problem, right? So please make sure that you recall this particular concept before going for tomorrow's exam, right? So let us then start with the questions over here. So I have come up with some questions. Okay, so let us see what are these questions about to talk about. So let me clear this part, right? Or also, okay, wait, okay, I have space for it, so let me continue on the next page. But let us first of all read the problem, right? So it said that we have two vectors, a vector, b vector, and c vector. Sorry, three vectors are there, and I have to talk about b vector plus some lambda times of c vector is basically perpendicular to a vector, right? So whenever a vector is perpendicular to another vector, that means the angle between the vector is 90 degree. So if the angle between vector is 90 degree, therefore cos of 90 degree is basically equal to 0. So therefore a dot b is basically equal to 0. So whenever we have two vectors which are perpendicular to each other, the simple concept that I'm going to use is basically take the dot product and equal it to 0. Is this clear, right? So therefore over here also we'll basically proceed the problem in the same way. I will basically proceed the problem in the same way, saying that our b vector plus lambda times of c vector dot a vector should also be equal to 0 because it's perpendicular, right? So from this particular result, we have given the information of b vector, c vector, and a vector. So from here, I can definitely find the unknown lambda, right? So it's a one equation, one variable problem. So let us solve it quickly. So if we just try to write it down, so a vector is given as 2, 2, 3, right? So let me write it over here. Now, please, whenever you are writing the solution, make sure that you write all the parts clearly. These things I have been talking of from the initial sessions, okay, that I have taken. So please make sure that you are writing all the parts clearly. I hope in this particular time that you got before your preparation, I hope you have worked on your presentation skills, right? So the way you are writing the answers in the exam is going to matter a lot, right? So therefore, first of all, write it down. What are the given information? That is, a vector is given as 2 I cap plus 2 j cap plus 3 times of k cap, right? That is what is given. Similarly, b vector is given as minus I cap plus 2 j cap plus 3 k cap, right? And similarly, c vector is given as 3 I cap plus j cap, right? So these are the information about the vectors, right? And I need to find out b vector plus some lambda times of c vector, right? And that is basically, if I just calculate, it will come out as, so with the I component, I will get it as minus 1 plus 3 lambda I cap plus 2 plus lambda times of j cap plus k cap, right? As simple as that. Now I have to perform the dot product of these two vectors so that they are perpendicular, right? So I should definitely write it over here, that since a vector is perpendicular to this b vector plus lambda times of c vector, therefore I will write this particular step that it is basically equal to 0, because cos of theta, cos of 90 is basically equal to 0, and that's how we approach this, right? So from here I will get the dot product as simply as, so minus 2 plus 6 lambda plus 4 plus 2 lambda 4 plus 2 lambda plus 3 3 is equals to 0, right? So from here, if you solve it, you'll simply get 8 lambda is equals to 4 plus 3 7, 7 minus 2 is equal to 5, right? So from here we'll get it as minus of 5, right? Is equals to minus of 5. So from this I'll get the value of lambda as minus 5 upon 8. So this is basically the solution of the unknown. So you have to basically find out the value of the unknown. So that particular unknown lambda is basically coming out as minus 5 upon 8. Please check and tell me the same answer. Are you getting it or not? Yeah, hi Avina. Hi Avina, how are you doing? Right. I hope this particular problem is clear to all of you. Right. Now we have one more problem for you, that is basically a question. It was an internal type of choice questions. Okay, so that's why I wrote or over here. Okay, so the question is basically saying that a person is standing at an origin and is watching an aeroplane, right? Which is basically at a coordinate point A 4, 3, 0. At the same time, he saw a bird at the coordinate point B 0, 0, 1. They have to find out the angle which this BA vector makes with the x, y, and z axis. So whenever, now this is a questions of 3D in general sense. Now again, you might be thinking that angle between vectors, you have to use the cos theta form. Yes, you have to use a cos theta form, but it is a question when you are basically asking the angle with the x, y, and z axis. It is basically talking about the direction cosines. Okay, so if you recall from your 3D geometry sessions, so let me tell you this particular thing. So this is also an important question for tomorrow's paper, is that they are going to ask you questions on the direction ratios and direction cosines. Okay, so that is very important. Please make sure that you prepare it nicely. So if you have an origin over here 0, 0, 0, and let us say we have any point alpha comma, so let us not call alpha, let us call it any point as x comma y comma z, right? So let us call this point x comma y comma z, and if I join this particular point with the origin, I will get the position vector of this particular point, right? So therefore, if I say this particular OP vector, makes an angle alpha with the x-axis, beta with the y-axis, and gamma with the z-axis, then I can simply take the projection. Okay, let me write the origin over here. 0 comma 0 comma 0. So therefore, if I have this particular information about the angle which these question vectors are making with the corresponding x, y and z axis, then I can simply write. So if I need to write up what is cos of alpha, so I can simply take the cos of alpha and I can write it as x upon square root of x square plus y square plus z square. Similarly, cos of beta is going to be y upon square root of x square plus y square plus z square. And so, similarly, we will also have cos of gamma will basically be z times of square root of x square plus y square plus z square, right? And how this x square plus y square plus z square coming up? Because it is the magnitude of this OP length, right? So it is the magnitude of the OP distance, right? So just you just use the dot product, okay? So if I need to find out cos alpha, so basically cos alpha is basically OP vector dot I cap divided by mod of OP vector mod of I cap. So mod magnitude of I cap is basically 1. So that's why I'm writing this expression, okay? I hope this is not a confusion for anyone by now because you have already completed the syllabus, right? So if you know this particular thing, then what is the more interesting to find it over here is that we'll see cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is basically equal to 1. Now this is the most important relation that you have in between directions cosines, okay? So in between direction cosine you will have this particular result hold true, right? So please make sure that you understand this particular thing and you have to basically work on this part, okay? So this is clear to all of you. So I feel that there shall be a question on this particular topic, okay? So please make sure that you understand this part clearly. So let us go back to the question. So the question says that there are two point A where the aeroplane is and the bird is at a point B. So point A is 4 comma 0 comma 3. So let us try to represent the point A 4 comma 0 comma 3 and the bird is at basically at point B, which is basically 0 comma 0 comma 1, right? So let me tell, yeah, 0 comma 0 comma 1. So that is on the z axis, right? So therefore let me draw it on the z axis. So it is on the z axis, right? So that is 0 comma 0 comma 1, right? Now I have to find out this angle, that this BA vector, that is this BA vector, yeah. So BA vector will be directed towards B. So BA vector mixed with the x, y and z axis, right? So if I am able to find out simply the BA vector, so from here I can write the, so let me erase this part over here. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Okay. So let me clear this part for you and let us talk then. Let us try to find out the BA vector. Then I will tell you the rest. Okay. So BA vector is simply given as minus of 4 I cap. Okay, minus of 4 I cap and minus of 2 k cap, right? So if you just simply check out, the BA vector is basically going to be equal to minus 4 I cap minus 2 j cap, right? Now if you recall from the definition of OP vector, so OP vector, this position vector OP is basically given as x I cap plus y j cap plus z times of k cap, right? So these particular component or the constants are nothing but they are the direction ratios, and in order to find the direction cosines I just need to divide by the magnitude of the particular vector, as simple as that. So when I need to find out the angle which this particular line BA makes with the XYZ axis, I just need to find out the cos alpha, cos beta and cos gamma term. So cos alpha, cos beta. So let us first of all find cos alpha, that is with the x-axis. Now when you are doing for the actual exam, please make sure that you write everything clearly and explain everything, okay? So cos alpha is basically equal to minus of 4 divided by square root of 4 square plus 2 square, that is going to be 16 plus 4. That's going to be my answer as minus of 2 upon 2 root 5, right? And that is going to be minus of 1 upon square root of 5, right? So from here we'll get alpha basically coming out as square cos inverse of minus of 1 upon square root 5, right? So from here we'll get the value as cos inverse 1 upon square root of 5, right? So that is the value of alpha, right? And similarly if you find out beta, so beta is basically cos beta is equal to 0, so therefore your beta is basically equal to 90 degree. And similarly if you find out gamma or cos gamma, so cos gamma is going to be minus, very sorry, there is a mistake. Okay, this is basically minus 4, right? Sorry, this should be minus 4, right? And that's how minus 2 upon root 5, right? So alpha should be cos inverse of minus of 2 upon root 5. Similarly cos gamma is going to be minus 2 upon square root of 2 root 5. So from here this will be coming at minus 1 by square root 5. So from here gamma is basically cos inverse of minus 1 upon square root 5, right? That is going to be the angle alpha beta gamma. So beta is 90, alpha is cos inverse of minus 2 upon square root 5 and gamma is cos inverse of minus 1 upon square root 5. So this is how you are going to approach the answer. So if you just check it from here, you can just put it back into this particular relation, cos alpha, cos gamma, and cos beta. You will definitely get this relation hold true. So you can see it, you can check it out. So if it is square of 2 by root 5, so it is 4 upon 5, right? 4 upon 5 plus 1 upon 5 is going to be equal to 1. So that's how this particular relation holds true. Okay, so make sure that you understand this part. Okay, so please, when you are doing this problem for your actual paper, so make sure that you write all the parts clearly and explain the examiner as you are basically explaining someone. Okay, so this problem is basically a problem of simple basics of vectors, or you can consider this problem of the introduction to the 3D geometry part, right? So 3D geometry also, you basically have to encounter this direction ratio and direction cosines. Okay, so again and again I'm telling you that direction cosines and direction ratio will be an important problem. Please make sure that you have prepared this part clearly, and please make sure if you haven't done the formula sheet revision, please make sure that you revise this part clearly. Okay, so this is what my first prediction, that is most important, that is angle between two vectors, projection of vectors, or it might be asking you the questions of what is the nature of the angle, acute angle, obtuse angle, what is the condition, if they are asking you this particular part. Or it might also ask you, given a vector, you have to find out this direction ratio or direction cosine, and from direction cosine or direction ratio you have to find out the angle which that particular vector makes with the given x, y, and z axis. I hope this particular part is clear to all of you. Please let me know in the comments on the live chat. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. I am not seeing any likes in the videos. Yeah, so please like the video. If you are understanding everything, please like the video, and don't forget to subscribe to the particular channel. Okay, so it's not only for the preparation of CBSE board examination, we are also coming live after the board exam is over. So we are going to discuss the board exam paper. We are also going to discuss how the marking scheme is going to be. So please stay tuned for this particular, right? So hit the bell icon right now to no miss out any upcoming content. Also, we are going to start with your JEE mains revision series, that is essentially for the second attempt. Okay, so in April you are going to have your JEE mains second attempt. So for that I am coming live on this particular channel. So please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and do hit that bell icon so that you don't miss out any upcoming information or notifications. Okay, so let's move to the next predictions or next important problem. So this is what my next important problems looks like, right? So we can also have questions where you have to basically discuss about the inverse trigonometric function. So I hope by now your all the important properties of the inverse trigonometric functions are clear to all of you. The most important thing that is basically important, please make sure that you remember the graph of the inverse trigonometric function. Even if you do not remember, if you can try to understand the graph, that also will do the purpose, right? So please make sure that you understand the graph and you clearly remember that for the exam. Okay, so let us start with this particular problem. So the problem we have with us is basically from the 21st problem. So basically it is saying that if we are having cot inverse of 3x plus 5, if we are having cot inverse of 3x plus 5 greater than pi upon 4, right? So how are we going to solve this, right? Now the best way or the best method to solve this particular problem is to just by simply draw the graph. Okay, let us try to understand the graph of y is equal to cot inverse of x. Y is equal to okay, so is where we have basically the question as inequalities. So please write the given inequality like this. So when you are solving for the actual exam, please make sure to write the given inequality cot inverse of 3x plus 5 greater than pi by 4. Now let us try to recall the graph of y equals to cot inverse of x. So if you just recall from your basics part, right, so the graph of cot inverse of x was basically like this. Okay, it was basically like this. Okay, so it is does not is equal to 0, and also it is not equal to pi, but it is basically asymptotic at 0 and pi. Okay, so this is something that you need to understand, and it is basically pi by 2. This is pi by 2 and this is 0. Okay, so the cot inverse of x at 0 is basically pi by 2. That's what you understand over here. So you can just see it is basically asymptotic at pi and x equal to 0, right? Sorry, y equal to 0 and y equal to pi is basically the asymptotes to this particular functions, right? Now let us see, we have to basically find out the value for which I'm having it greater than pi by 4, right? So if I just try to draw a part y which is basically pi by 4, so I will see that in order for, let us try to understand the inequality in cot inverse of x. So if cot inverse of x is greater than pi by 4, I have to basically find that particular value of x for which the y value is greater than pi by 4. So pi by 4 is basically over here. I can draw y a straight line which is which is basically y is equal to pi by 4, and I have to find out that particular value of y which is basically greater than pi by 4. So corresponding to that, I need to find out that particular values of x. Okay, so from here you can see this particular part of the graph is exactly greater than pi by 4, right? So starting from here till minus of infinity, right? Starting from here till minus of infinity, right? So I just need to find out this particular point of intersection. So in order to find out this particular point of intersection, what will I do? So I know that cot inverse of 1 is basically pi by 4. Yes or no? Please let me know. Are you able to understand this particular thing? Yeah, hi Aman. Hi Aman, how are you doing? Are you able to understand this part? Please let me know. Are you able to understand this part or not? Try to understand this part first of all. So basically, whenever I discuss about the inequality, I have to basically find out that particular value of x for which I'm having it greater than pi by 4, right? So therefore, what you can see over here, so from here, so cot inverse of 1 is basically pi by 4, right? So from here you can see that the x is basically between, so from here you can see x is basically between minus infinity to minus infinity to 1, right? So therefore, if you have this inequality in x, so instead of x, you have to put the inequality in 3x plus 5. So therefore, for this particular inequality, you have to just check the condition, that is 3x plus 5 should be less than 1. Should be less than 1. Also, you can do this part just by taking the cos of both the sides. So what you can do, cot of both the sides. So you can do cot inverse of x and take the cot of over here, right? That is also you can do it, right? Also, you know that the sign of inequality will change if you just remove the cot part, or if you take the cot, because it's a decreasing function, right? That is something that you know on how to use it. So this is all about you, but if you understand this part, it is very simple. Okay, you don't have to remember any increasing, decreasing, that particular thing. You just clear the graph, you can do it. Okay, so from here you have to basically find out that particular value of x for which this particular condition is satisfied. So from here you can see it's simply basically minus 3 upon 4. So x should be less than minus 3 upon 4, right? This is something different x, so I'm writing x dash over here. Okay, so let me put an x dash over here. I hope this particular part is clear. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. Is this clear? Yes, Aman, is this clear? This is also very important for tomorrow's paper, so please make sure that you remember the graph. Okay, at least the graph part is, you should actually remember it. Okay, maybe if you do not recall the properties from the graph also, you can basically figure out some of the important properties. Okay, but I will definitely say please make sure to go and revise the properties. Okay, these are important. Okay, so maybe if you just take on the properties like the sine inverse of x or sine inverse of sine of x, those properties are equally important, so please make sure that you remember it. Okay, similarly, the properties of sine inverse of x plus cos inverse of x equal to pi by 2 for the given domain. Those kind of properties are important, so please make sure that you go through those problems. Okay, you don't need to remember those problems like sine inverse of x plus sine inverse of y is that particular bigger formula. You don't need to remember that for the exam, but what you need to remember is basically that sine inverse of x plus cos inverse of x is equal to pi by 2. Those particular relations or those initial properties are very important for tomorrow's exam. So that's what I can say. Okay, so let's now move to the next problem. Let us try to understand the next problem. So we have a next problem. Basically, the problem is basically the cost in rupees for a particular x items or producing x item in a factory is basically given by each day by a particular function c of x. Okay, so the cost function or the cost of producing x number of units in the factory is basically given as this particular c of x for each day, right? So each day, if you are producing x item, then the cost is basically given as this way. Okay, so you have to find out the marginal cost when 150 number of items are already produced, right? What is basically mean by marginal cost, right? Now, this is something that is related to the commerce people. So people who have taken up commerce, they must know what is marginal cost, right? But for people who have been pursuing the science background, they don't know what is a marginal cost, right? But even if these type of problems are coming up for the exam, these are basically a question from the NCERT textbook. Okay, so this particular problem I felt important to discuss because most of people will not be knowing it. What is a marginal cost, right? Because they are not from the commerce background, right? So even if this kind of problem comes up for a paper, you have to basically remember certain things. That is, whenever marginal cost comes up, you just have to find out the slope of the cost function at that particular value of x. Right. So it is said that you have to find out the marginal cost when 150 number of items are already produced. Right. So what is marginal cost? Marginal cost is nothing. Marginal cost is nothing, but it is basically differentiating the cost function with respect to x and putting the value of x at that particular cost value. So let us say x is basically some constant number a. Now this particular quantity will give you the simply the marginal cost. Okay. Marginal cost. Okay. This part will give you the marginal cost. I hope this is clear. Okay. And this part will give you the marginal cost. Okay. Okay, so for getting the marginal cost is basically if you just represent it by graph at any particular point. So if the cost function is like this, so any particular point, it is basically the rate at which the graph is increasing. Okay, it is the rate at which the cost function is increasing. That is what is called as marginal cost. Okay, so if you are from commerce, background, I hope you have better definition for marginal cost. I know, but if you're from science background, then if you need to know what is marginal cost, then this is how your marginal cost is defined. Okay, so let us try to find out the derivative of this marginal cost and put the value of x equal to 150. That's how you get the answer. Okay, so please try to solve this problem and quickly tell me the answer you're getting. Try to solve this problem and tell me the answer you're getting. Okay, so if it's a simple problem, you just need to differentiate and tell me the answer. Okay, you can do it by yourself. Okay, please try to solve this and do it by yourself. Let me know the answer you're getting. If you're not able to solve, you can tell me. I can again explain you this part. I hope this part is clear to all of you. Okay, so let's now proceed with the next problem. The next problem is again a problem of derivative, right? Again, you have to find a derivative. Now, this kind of problem I feel very important because you have to find a derivative not with respect to x. Instead, you have to find derivative with respect to another function, right? So let me explain you this underlying concept over here. So whenever you need to find derivative of a function, let us call that f of x, with respect to another function g of x. Okay, so whenever you need to find out derivative of a particular function, with respect to another function g of x, what is the underlying concept behind it? Okay, so if you need to find a derivative of a function with respect to another function, the concept is very simple. Okay, this is basically, so we are going to simply use the concept of the chain rule, okay, for solving this. Okay, so if I say I need to find a derivative of function f of x with respect to g of x, so that's how we're going to define over here. So this particular thing can be simply written as, let us try to first of all find out the derivative of f of x with respect to x, and then multiply with, so if I find out the derivative with respect to x and then multiply with 1 upon derivative of g of x with respect to x, right? So this will actually help me with my job. So that is basically, so if I just find out the derivative, with respect to x, right, and just divided by the derivative of g of x with respect to x, this will basically solve my job of finding out the derivative of a function with respect to another function, right? So that is what we have to do over in here in this problem. Okay, so let us see how we basically proceed this problem. So we have to find a derivative of tan inverse of x with respect to cos log x. Okay, natural log x. Okay, so that is derivative of tan inverse of x with respect to derivative of natural log of x, and that is basically given as derivative of tan inverse of x divided by x. So that is derivative with respect to x and then divided by derivative of natural log x with respect to x. Okay, that's how you really get to the relation. Okay, so from here you will get derivative of tan inverse of x with respect to x is basically given as 1 upon 1 plus x squared divided by a derivative of log x, natural log x is basically simply given as 1 upon x. Okay, so that's how you will get to the relation as x upon 1 plus log x square. Okay, x upon 1 plus x square. That's how you get to the answer. I hope this part is clear to all of you. So derivative of tan inverse of x divided by with respect to log natural log of x is basically simply given out by this relation. Okay, so this is clear to all of you. Please let me know in the live chat. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, now this is a problem that is important for tomorrow's paper because I feel that this is a problem which many people are actually not clear about with the concept. So I feel this problem is very important. So maybe this will come up for a paper also. Okay. Okay. So this is clear to all of you. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. Shall we proceed with the next problems? So I hope you are clear with this particular problems. Okay. So make sure that you understand this particular concept. So we have discussed so far 5 questions. So the most important 5 questions I have already discussed about, right? Let's move to the next problem. And again, I feel this problem is also important when I was discussing a vector. So this concept of calculating the geometric area such that the given sides of the parallelogram are given as a vector and b vector, then the area of the vector parallelogram is simply given as, so area of, okay, let me write it clearly. So area of parallelogram, okay, so area of a parallelogram is simply given as cross product of the adjacent vector and taking the mod of it. Okay, but in case your basic, see in this question it is saying that two initial adjacent sides are given as a vector and b vector, but if we need to find out the diagonal, we can also find a diagonal as, so one of the diagonal is a vector plus b vector and another diagonal is going to be b vector minus a vector. Okay, b vector minus a vector, right? So if we have the diagonal information, we can also find out the area in terms of diagonal. So let us call the diagonal vector d1 and the second diagonal is a d2, right? So even if you are given the diagonal vector and you need to find out the area of a parallelogram, then it is basically half times of the mod of cross of d1 cross d2. Okay, so just need to find out half times of d1 vector cross d2 vector and take the mod of it. I hope this is clear to all of you. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. Please let me know in the live chat if this is clear or not. Okay, so this part is clear. I hope this part is clear to all of you, right? So if you have any questions, you can tell me. Tell me if you have any questions or any queries over here. Okay, so you can just simply find out what is the area of the parallelogram. Can you quickly solve that question for me and tell me the answer? So our area, let us call that area as A. So when we have the two adjacent sides, I'll just need to find out the magnitude of the cross product. Okay, so I hope you know how to find the cross product. That is by using this determinant. It is 2 minus 4 and minus 5 over here, and this is basically 2, 2 and 3, right? Now cross product is also important for tomorrow's paper, that I feel. Okay, so please make sure that you prepared the cross product part also. Okay, now 3D geometry and vectors are very much easy chapter, so please don't forget to do that particular chapter nicely. If you are having any questions of 3D geometry or vectors, please tell me right now in the live chat. Okay, fine. So let's now proceed with this particular cross product. So if I just perform this cross product operation, so just simply I can perform the determinant as I cap times of is going to be minus 12 minus of minus 10, that is going to be minus of 2, minus j cap times of 6 minus of minus 10, that is going to be 6 plus 10, that is going to be 16, right? Plus k times of k cap times of 4 minus of minus 8, and that is going to be 12, right? So from here you will get the cross product result as this, right? So you just need to simply find out the mod of it. right? Just need to simplify it into the mod of it, and the mod value is going to be square root of 2 square plus 12 square plus 16 square, right? And that will actually give you the answer of the area of the parallelogram, right? So even if you are given the diagonal, so you just need to take the half of the magnitude of this particular cross product, right? So depending on the question, you have to basically find it out. So here we are given the adjacent vectors, so we don't need to find out the half of it, right? But if we are given the diagonal vectors of the parallelogram, then we need to do that particular operation. Okay, so please make sure that you remember this particular operation and keep it in your formula sheet. Okay, so for whenever you're going for the exam tomorrow, make sure you remember this particular concept so that you can apply it for tomorrow's paper. Okay, I hope this is clear. I hope this part is clear. So from here you will get the answer, and please don't forget to report the answer is as square units. Okay, please don't forget to write the answer as square units. Please don't forget to write it again, and I am saying it, even if you're forgetting to write the units, because it is talking about area, so make sure to write the area as square units. If you're not writing it, this will actually cause loss of 1 mark or half mark. Okay, this is a question of 3 marks, so if you are forgetting to write this part, it might lead to loss of 1 mark or half a marks. Okay, so we cannot give any chance on any point where examiner will detect our marks. So please make sure that you do everything neatly and write the entire solution properly. Okay, now I won't be taking a lot of time from your tomorrow's exam preparation, but I need to talk of this particular part, so that's why I am basically here to help you out with this part, right? Also with this, I will also tell you one more important question that is basically the problem of applications of derivative or derivative as a rate measure, right? That is also very crucial for exam. Okay, so let us quickly discuss these problems. Okay, so this is an application based problem. Now whenever you will have applications of problem based coming up, it is always advisable to please make sure to draw the diagram of that particular situation using a pencil. Please make sure to draw the diagram using pencil only. Please restrain yourself from doing it with the help of pen. If you're doing it with the help of pen, might be you would draw the diagram wrong. You have to cancel the diagram, and that will make the space or solution will be looking very ugly, and your answer or presentation will look difficult for the examiner to check. Okay, the key to getting full marks or 80 upon 80 in a theory paper is basically to write is the answers as clearly as possible and make sure to explain all the parts of the questions. Okay, so here it said that a kite is flying at a height of 3 meter and 5 meter the string is out. So it is said that kite is vertically 3 meter above the sky. So the above the sky it is 3 meter, and the amount of string which is out from the kite is basically 5 meter, right? So this is how I am basically taking out the question. So let us say this is a kite. Let us try to draw a better diagram for the kite. So let us say this is our kite. Okay. So this is our kite, and let us say the string of the kite is attached over here, right? And it is basically 5 meter out, right? So if the kite is moving away horizontally, so it is saying that the kite is moving horizontally with the speed u, and that is given as 2 meter per second. So over here in the slide is 200 second per 200 centimeter per second. So please make sure to convert that into standard units which are falling for the distance also. Okay, now these types of questions are important because people make mistake in conversion of the unit. So make sure that you write the units properly. Okay, so whenever you have 3 units, 3 meters or 5 meter, make sure to keep the speed also in the same unit, like meter per second. Okay, so you have to find out the rate at which the string is being released. Okay, so you have to basically find out the rate at which this particular length is increasing. So let us call this, at any instant this particular length is L. Okay, and it is saying that the kite is always at a height of 3 meter because it is moving horizontally. It doesn't move vertically, so therefore it will always move in this horizontal plane, horizontal line. Okay, so when it is moving in the horizontal line, so it is always maintaining the constant vertical distance from the ground. So this is something that you need to understand from here. So from here, what I can say that this y or the change of x, okay, you can see the horizontal velocity. So let us say this x. So if you just try to find out this x, so let us call this problem like this way. So this particular distance is 3 meter, and this is basically the x. Okay, so let us call this x. So from here you can find out x as simply as using Pythagoras theorem as L square minus 3 square, right? So at an instant when it is L is equal to 5 meter, this x is basically equal to 4 meter, right? So therefore you can simply write x in terms of L. So because L is the unknown that I need to find out, right? I need to find out the value of dl by dt. I know dx by dt. I have to find out dl by dt. So that's how I will represent. Okay, you can do it the other way also. I have no issue. So basically it is basically going to be L square minus 9, right? Square root of L square minus 9. So if I just perform the differentiation on both the sides with respect to t, right? Dx by dt, it is going to simply going to be 1 upon 2 times of square root of L square minus 9 multiplied with derivative of L square, that is going to be 2L dl by dt, right? So I need to find out what is dl by dt, because it is the rate at which the string is being released. So dl by dt, I need to find it out. I know dx by dt because it is basically nothing but the horizontal speed, right? So it is basically given out in the problem as 2 meter per second. So from here I will put all the units in meter only, just to make the unit correction. So from here, this particular part, from I will get 2 into, so 2 into 2 times of square root of L square minus 9, that is going to be 25 minus 9, right? Divided by 2 times of L, and L is in this case is 5, right? So from here I will get this 2 and 2 cancel out, and this is going to be 2 into 16 divided by 5, right? So 2 into 16 divided by 5 is 32 by 5 meter per second, right? So from here you can multiply again with 100 to write the answer is times of seconds, okay, or centimeter per second. So that you can do simple, right? So just divided by 100, right? Oh, sorry, multiply with 100. Yeah, what I was saying, correct. So multiply with 100 means this is going to be my answer as 1600 centimeter per second. Okay, so the speed at which the string is being laid out while the kite is moving horizontally rate of 200 centimeter per second is basically 1600 centimeter per second. Now, why I did this conversion of the unit from meter per second to second centimeter per second? Because the answer was given is, the question was mentioned, the speed is mentioned in centimeter per second. So it is, and while you are getting the answer, it is not an integral answer, right? So it might also make a chance for the examiner to deduct 1 or half marks. Okay, so please make sure that you are cautious about this part. Maybe if the examination is very good, then he or she might not deduct marks, but nothing can be said about it. So it is better to always take precautions before we are writing any part of the answer, right? So I hope this particular part is clear to all of you, right? So these all parts are clear to all of you, I hope so. So I'm not going to take much of your time for, because I know tomorrow is the exam and so you are busy in preparation. So this is all I have to tell you, that the questions of applications of derivatives are important, questions of finding out the image of a straight line are important, or the question of a pair, the equations of a plane or the equation of straight line, those are also important. So make sure that you revise those particular part. Even integration is important, but I have taken a dedicated session on integral, so I'm not repeating it again, but I am basically talking about the important part is, please make sure to study the vectors and 3D part. If you have any questions, you can ask me right now at this particular moment. Okay, you can tell me if you have any questions right now. I am basically how to help you out with this, but I feel these all problems are going to be very important for your tomorrow's paper. Okay, so make sure you perform these questions nicely. Okay, so application derivative questions are important. Okay, vectors questions are important, questions of like inverse trigonometric function, the graphical questions are important. Okay, and questions of continuity differentiabilities are easy. I have already discussed about that, so I'm not taking it again. And questions of probability is also going to be important, but that I am basically keeping out for all of you to practice. The questions of probability that is more important, that is the Bayes theorem or the total probability theorem, which I've already discussed briefly in the sessions. Okay, so if you have not watched that particular session, make sure to go to the channel, and under the live section you will find out the video on the probability. So please revise that probability part nicely and clearly. Okay, I hope this part is clear to all of you. Please let me know in the comment section, is this clear or not? Then we can end the session over here. Okay, I hope I have discussed all the important questions for your tomorrow's paper. Okay, so I am basically leaving these two problems up to you, and this will complete the top 10 questions. Okay, so basically you can find these questions. I have already discussed 3D geometry in very detail. Okay, so please make sure that you watch those sessions and try to solve these problems by your own. Okay, so this is all about the important problems that are going to be important for your tomorrow's exam. So this problem I wanted to repeat out because the marginal cost is not known to everyone. That is not easy. So please make sure that you know what is marginal cost concept. Okay, so with this, let us end the session over here. Okay, so I hope you will remember all the important techniques and tips I have given to all of you, and you will basically perform as I said to all of you, right? So these all things are going to be very important, so make sure you understand these parts clearly and make sure to perform well in tomorrow's exam. Okay, nothing to be worried about, nothing to have worries or tension. There is nothing like that. You're definitely going to do well for exam. Okay, make sure that you have your command of the basic concepts. If you're not able to get the answers of a particular problem, I would say don't leave the answers as blank. Even if you write anything that resembles the steps, even if you show the steps or the part by part calculation, it doesn't matter you get to the ultimate answer or not, but what matters is basically are you able to approach the closed form solution to the particular question. If you're able to do that, then also you will get at least some marks. Like for example, if it's 3 mark problem, at least you will get 1.5 marks or 2 marks in that particular problem. Okay, so make sure that don't skip or leave out any questions, right? So with this, let us end our session over here, and I wish you all the best for tomorrow's exam. And if you are prepared it nicely, you're definitely going to do well. So for that particular confidence, let's crack the tomorrow's exam. I wish you all the best.